Somewhere in your Tesla's own manual, there is an instruction that goes against the #1 rule everybody screams about charging. But hardly any owner has ever found it. And once you see it, you are going to be a little annoyed at every person who scolded you about that battery, because they had no idea what they were talking about. So where did all this even come from? Almost every battery rule you have heard whispered around a Tesla supercharger started its life somewhere else. The 20 to 80% rule, the never charge full rule, the run it down to condition it rule. None of that was written for the pack sitting under your Model 3. It got copied off an old laptop and an even older cell phone, and then 1,000 forum posts repeated it until it sounded like law. But the worst of it came from the early electric cars. The first Nissan Leaf used an air-cooled battery, and in hot places like Phoenix, those packs cooked themselves and lost range fast. People watched that happen and decided every electric car must be a fragile little thing you tiptoe around. The problem is your Tesla is liquid-cooled, with a whole computer watching the battery temperature, and it behaves nothing like that old Leaf. So let me go rule by rule and show you which ones are real and which ones are wasting your life. And we start with the big one because that hidden line in your manual is buried right inside it. The 80% rule. You have heard it 100 times. Never charge your Tesla past 80% or you will destroy the battery. And this is where it falls apart. Tesla builds these cars with two completely different battery types, and the advice flips depending on which one you have. Start with the standard range cars. If your Model 3 or your Model Y is the standard range version, it almost certainly has an LFP pack. That stands for lithium iron phosphate. And here's that line I promised you. Tesla does not tell you to keep that pack under 80. Tesla tells you in writing to charge it all the way to 100%, at least once a week, every week. And if that already sounds backwards to everything you have been told, good. The rules only get shakier from here. So why does Tesla say that? Because that flat LFP chemistry confuses the car's own range estimate if it never sees a full charge. The computer loses track of where the top is. So the people screaming at a standard range owner for plugging into 100 are not protecting anything. They are making the range readout worse. I love that. Telling which battery you actually have is easier than the forums make it sound. Look at the charge screen in the car. If the slider talks about a daily limit and a separate trip limit, that is the nickel pack. If it just shows a straight line up to 100, you are holding the LFP pack that wants to be charged full. And really, this whole mess is on Tesla. They hide this in a manual nobody reads, then act shocked when owners charge their cars wrong. One clear line on the screen ends the argument. Now, if you have a long-range Tesla or a performance car, that is a nickel-based pack, and the advice changes. For daily driving, Tesla suggests keeping it around 80 to 90 and saving the full charge for the morning of a road trip. That part is real, but it is a gentle suggestion, not a life or death thing, and I will show you why in a second. And here is my real opinion, the one that gets me arguments in the comments. Babying it at 80%, like your car might blow up, is a waste of energy. The payoff is tiny. You will trade in that Tesla long before that little bit of babying ever shows up on the screen. Which brings me to the one that keeps people up at night. Charging to 100% kills your battery. So I went and pulled the actual numbers because I was tired of guessing. Tesla publishes its own battery data and it is not shy about it. Their Model 3 and Model Y long-range cars lose about 15% after 200,000 miles. That means 85% of the battery is still there. The bigger Model S and Model X did even better, only around 12% gone. The thing has done 250,000 miles and still holds most of its range. And there is a company called Recurrent that tracks thousands of these cars in the real world. They found the battery drops a little quick in the first few years, then the line flattens out and basically coasts. The first chunk of loss shows up early, then it takes another 100,000 miles to lose half as much again. So the babying you do in year one is fighting a drop that mostly already happened and then stopped on its own. And if you still want hard proof, forget the studies for a second and look at the cars that have actually been run into the ground. There is a Tesla taxi over in Finland that crossed 250,000 miles with most of its battery still healthy. Then there is the fleet Tesla Model X that ran past 300,000 miles on its original pack. And every new Tesla still comes with a battery warranty good for 8 years that promises the pack will hold at least 70%. This thing is built to last way longer than you will spend worrying about it. But all the data in the world does not calm somebody down once they are scared. I had a guy bring his Model 3 into the shop, convinced he had wrecked it. He had read all the forum stuff, panicked, and started charging to exactly 65% and never moving off it. His range number looked terrible, and he thought the pack was dying, but it was not dying. The computer just had no clue where full was anymore because he never let the car get there. We charged it up, let it settle overnight, and the number climbed right back. He almost cried. Months of worry over a software guess on a dashboard. Now let us talk about the one that really gets the forum guys foaming. Supercharging will ruin your battery. You should only charge slow at home or you are killing the pack. But that same group, Recurrent, looked at fast charging across 13,000 Teslas. Real cars, real owners, a mountain of data. And the cars that supercharged most of the time showed no meaningful difference from the cars that almost never touched a supercharger. Nothing worth losing sleep over. The cooling system and the battery computer soak up the stress for you. So when somebody tells you a road trip full of superchargers is shaving years off your pack, they are repeating a fear, not a fact. Here is the fair version though, because I am not here to sell you fairy tales. Say you charge nothing but the fastest chargers in brutal desert heat every day. The bigger studies do show a small extra cost over the years. But that is a delivery van problem, not a you problem. For a normal owner taking a few road trips a year, supercharge all you want and stop apologizing for it. And I will give you one real horror story because it is the one case worth knowing about. A famous fleet Model S that lived on superchargers ran way past 400,000 miles. When one of its replacement packs finally started degrading faster, Tesla traced it to the car being slammed from nearly empty up to 100% over and over on the nickel pack. That is the recipe to avoid. Not supercharging itself, but draining a nickel-based pack to almost dead and slamming it full over and over. Meanwhile, there is a standard range Model 3 out there past 180,000 miles, fast charged almost every time, still sitting near 90% health. That is the LFP pack quietly laughing at the whole debate. While we are on charging, here is another one people overthink. The idea that you have to manually warm the battery yourself before every fast charge, or you are doing it wrong. You do not. Just set the supercharger as your destination in the car's navigation, and your Tesla warms the pack on the drive over all by itself. The only time it really matters is a short hop to a charger on a brutally cold day, and even then the car is already handling it. You are not the battery technician here. The Tesla is. If this is already saving you some stress, do me a quick favor and tap subscribe. That is all I ask. It helps me keep digging into this stuff. And that leads straight into a rule that trips up a ton of Tesla owners. The idea that you have to run the car down to nearly zero and back up to fix your range. And this is the part nobody explains right. That trick does not heal the battery, and it cannot. It just retrains the car's guess about how much range is left. If you charge to the same number every day and the car never gets a long rest, that estimate slowly drifts. Letting it run low, sit a while, then fill up gives the computer a fresh top and bottom to measure against. So you are fixing a number on a screen, not the pack underneath the floor. I have watched a Tesla read 30 or 40 miles low and then slowly climb back to the right number over months of normal driving. Not days, but months before that dashboard number finally settles. So hammering your pack with full drain cycles to rush it along is like flooring the gas to fix a broken fuel gauge. And draining it dead on purpose over and over to toughen it up is an old nickel battery habit, and it hurts a modern Tesla pack. The happiest place for this battery is somewhere in the middle, plugged in, relaxed. So all those folks draining to zero like it is 2004 and they are babying an old flip phone or doing the one thing the pack does not want. Let me knock out a couple of quick ones. Cold weather permanently destroys your range. That one is just wrong. In winter, your Tesla shows less range because heating the cabin and warming the pack eats power, and a cold battery just does not hand it all over. Some folks tested 30,000 cars through a winter, and the typical one still had about 78% of its range sitting out there in the cold. But the part that matters is this: it all comes back the moment things warm up, with no permanent damage at all. The Tesla Model X was one of the strongest performers in that whole study. The smart move is to warm the car up while it is still plugged in, so the wall socket takes the hit instead of your range. Next one. Sentry mode and the cameras and the screens are draining your battery into the ground overnight. The drain is real, but it is small and it is harmless. A parked Tesla sips around 1% a day with everything quiet. Sentry watching all the cameras costs more, sure, but Tesla cut that drain way down in a software update, and the car shuts Sentry off on its own at 20%, so you never wake up stranded. Funny thing is, part of what looks like overnight drain is not even power used. It is the computer doing its math again after the car woke up. So half the panic is people watching a number wiggle in the phone app. And quit losing sleep over the little 12-volt battery while you are at it. Yes, every Tesla has a small support battery separate from the big pack, and yes, it wears out eventually like any battery. But your Tesla warned you on the screen weeks ahead of time, instead of leaving you stranded in a parking lot the way a dead gas car would. No babying required. You just swap it when the car tells you to. One more. Stop unplugging the car to protect it. Tesla says it right in the manual. Leave it plugged in whenever you can. A plugged-in Tesla uses wall power to keep itself cool and comfortable instead of leaning on the pack. Set your charge limit and walk away. Plugged in does not mean overcharged. The car stops itself at the limit you picked. Now, before you think I am telling you nothing can ever go wrong, let me give the doubters their one real win. There is exactly one way you can wreck this battery with charging, and it takes real effort. You would have to take a stone cold pack and force a fast charger to dump full power into it before it had any chance to warm up. Do that, and you can damage the cells for good. So yes, that one is true, but the catch is this: your Tesla flat out will not let you do it. The moment that pack is too cold, the car slows the charge down or stops it entirely to protect itself, whether you are in a hurry or not. So even the one real way to hurt this thing, the car steps in and stops you anyway. You would have to fight it on purpose. And it is always the same story. The comments on my last video were full of people swearing their car was the exception, that theirs was dying early. And almost every time, the battery was completely fine. They had just scared themselves over nothing. So here's the takeaway. Plug it in, set a sensible limit, charge to 100 if you have the LFP car, and go live your life. The battery is the toughest part of the whole machine. But while everybody online is busy arguing about charging percentages, there is a much bigger story they are all ignoring. I broke down how Tesla is quietly losing everything, and almost nobody is talking about it. Go watch that one next, because if you own one of these cars, or you are even thinking about buying one, you are going to want to see what is coming before it lands on you.